Now, talking about pollution, of course, Delhi has a peculiar, or let's say an inglorious distinction of being one of the most polluted cities in the world. And air pollution, of course, is the air we breathe, all of us, and therefore it impacts our lives very directly. And one large reason of the pollution, the homegrown sources of pollution, is, of course, the vehicles that we drive and the noxious fumes of these vehicles, which contribute perhaps, there are various estimates, but perhaps anywhere between 25 to 40% of the internal sources of pollution inside Delhi. And I think the efforts that we are trying to make for electrifying mobility is one major endeavor to clean up the air. Although the director in his opening remarks mentioned that the numbers are still very less, but it'll surprise you that if you look at the data points, the number are not so less. This year alone, in the new vehicle sales, 10% of sales in Delhi were electric. And I'll give you data points to surprise you that the sales of electric vehicles in Delhi was more than CNG vehicle sales. And in a period when 2 years ago, you can imagine that we have launched the electric vehicle policy just less than 2 years ago, in August 2020. Series of measures were announced, purchase incentives, tax breaks, etc., and the offtake in Delhi has been extremely robust. In fact, the sales of electric vehicle in Delhi are on one side, and the combined sales of Bombay, Calcutta and Chennai are on the other side. So 26,000 vehicles sold this year, electric. And from our side, we are also trying to nudge, give a regulatory push so that there is a faster adoption. For example, in the space of fleet aggregators, fleet aggregators have made our lives easier also, but they have also contributed to the pollution load. We have Uber, we have Ola and all these kind of companies. We have also food delivery companies, Zomato, Swiggy. They come to our homes and deliver whatever we order on our mobile phones. But we don't realize that a lot of these gig economy workers are using two-wheelers which are very old and very polluting. And the numbers are exploding. So we are trying to now set targets for aggregators, saying that, whatever's happened in the past has happened, but now onwards, whatever you add to your fleet, 15% of cars and 25% of two-wheelers have to be electric. And by 2030, entire fleet has to be electric. If you look at the bus space, Delhi transitioned to CNG some 25 years ago. We have some 7,000 plus buses in Delhi. Today, as I speak, we have placed orders for 1,800 electric buses on a fleet size of 7,000. And I think in the next 3 weeks, we'll be floating a bid for 6,000 electric buses. Some of them are new inductions, some of them are replacements of old CNG buses, which will be the biggest procurement exercise anywhere in the world. So imagine that by 2025, we are targeting that 70% of our bus fleet is electric. So the pace of adoption of electric vehicles is going to be much more faster than perhaps any of us would have expected 5 years ago. And in fact, some of the conventional car manufacturers of the combustible engine variety are now being forced to kind of come up with production lines of electric vehicles. Today, there are a larger number of players in the bus space than in the car space of electric vehicles. There are 5 players, Indian, who are making buses which are electric. Of course, two-wheelers, a large number of players are now there in the market. And from a consumer standpoint, it is making economic sense. The day it starts making economic sense, people will switch to electric. You don't have to force them to do that. And I think the constraining factor in some people's mind or in some common commentary is the limitation of charging infrastructure. But I think even there, we are moving very rapidly, very ambitiously. And I'm happy to share that we have very active dialogue with the charging companies. In fact, today, as we talk, after this meeting, I'm going to a session, a working group, where we'll be kind of unveiling, or let's say discussing the charging infrastructure strategy of Delhi, which will be actually launched on 3rd of August. So, we have different models of charging in Delhi. One box is public land, and where we have bid out public land for installation of charging infrastructure. And you'll be surprised that the bid parameter was how much will you charge the customer. Today, the electricity tariff for EV charging is 4.5 rupees in Delhi. The bid which has come is 2.5 rupees, which means it's negative bidding. So, of course, some of them are fleet operators, so they will be using that charging infrastructure for their fleets. Then there are swapping companies which are coming in the game. And the other day I was having a conversation with some company. Their ambition is to install outlets for batteries service at every square kilometer of Delhi. So they are now roping in mom and pop stores to set up outlets for charging infrastructure. So intra-city movement, just to summarize, I think in the next 3 years, you will see a large number of green plate vehicles moving around in the city. And there are no two questions about it. Imagine auto rickshaws, where we are so accustomed to seeing the Bajaj auto, the CNG auto. Even they have been forced to now come out with a production line of electric autos, and I think their launch is going to happen in another 2-3 months. Anyways, short point is that from our side, from the government side, from the industry side, and from the consumer side, there's a lot of synergy for an electric revolution, especially in Delhi. But I think this is going to get scaled up, and since the conversation today is also about highways, I think intercity movement also soon we'll see a lot of electric vehicles moving around. Thank you very much. I am running short of time, but it was lovely to be here. Thanks.